Ashley McBryde stood at the center of the studio, her guitar slung across her body like a badge of honor. The room was silent, save for the warm hum of amplifiers and the occasional creak of a chair. She took a deep breath and let her fingers slide across the strings, the first notes of Rattlesnake Preacher emerging like a whispered secret. For years, that song had lived a double life. Fans who had caught it live during her sets knew its power. They spoke of it like a ghost story, passed along in low tones, reverently. Gritty, gospel soaked, and unapologetically Southern, Rattlesnake Preacher wasn't just a song, it was an invocation. And finally, after years of pleading from her diehard fans, Ashley had decided to give it a home on tape. The studio version felt like a storm contained in a bottle. From the opening chords to the final fade out, it dripped with the raw tension that had made it a cult favorite in her live repertoire. But there was something more in this version, something polished without being tame, controlled without being domesticated. It still had teeth. The lyrics painted a picture of a fire and brimstone preacher with venom in his veins, an ominous figure who could twist scripture into a whip. He speaks in tongues and rattles chains, she sang, her voice trembling with equal parts fury and fascination. The character in the song was both a warning and a symbol, a relic of a past that still haunted dusty church pews and backwoods revivals. Ashley's voice cracked on the chorus in just the right places. It wasn't the smooth glide of pop country radio, it was torn denim and muddy boots. It was a howl from the backwoods, warning of danger and calling you closer anyway. There was power in the imperfections, authenticity in every growl. She'd written the song years ago after a conversation with her bandmates about old Southern churches and the kinds of preachers that filled them. The ones who didn't just talk about hell, but made you feel it in your bones. The ones who handled snakes, shouted prophecy, and cast judgment like lightning bolts. It wasn't just about religion, it was about fear, control, charisma, and survival. When Ashley debuted the song Live in 2019, the crowd went still. Not quiet, still, like prey sensing a predator nearby. And then the applause erupted. It wasn't just a song, it was an experience, a memory you couldn't shake. But she held off on recording it. Maybe the world wasn't ready for it. Maybe she wasn't ready. Or maybe in her heart, she knew that some songs had to simmer, had to age. And now, with the release of this studio version, the timing felt divine. Produced with a tight but fearless hand, the new version maintained the song's original grit while adding subtle layers of instrumentation. A haunting organ in the background, a steel guitar weeping quietly between verses, a kick drum that pulsed like a heartbeat. Listeners weren't just hearing the story, they were inside it. You could smell the sweat of the revival tent. You could feel the fire flickering at the edges of your conscience. You could see the preacher's eyes, wild, wide, and unwavering. This release wasn't just a treat for longtime fans, it was a statement. Ashley McBryde doesn't just write songs, she crafts Southern Gothic tales. She invites you into her world and dares you to walk through it barefoot, knowing full well there are thorns and snakes along the path. And yet, there's something addictive about it, something holy in the danger. Rattlesnake Preacher isn't a song you play in the background. It's a song you sit with, wrestle with, revisit. Critics quickly began calling it one of her finest lyrical achievements, not because it was polished, but because it wasn't. Because it said something that most artists wouldn't dare say out loud, that faith, fear, and folklore often come tangled together in the American South, that sometimes salvation and manipulation wear the same collar. Fans flooded social media with reactions. Some called it bone-chilling. Others said it brought back memories of their childhood churches. A few even admitted it made them cry, though they couldn't say why. It was like the song unlocked a door they didn't know was closed. Ashley's team released a sparse visualizer to accompany the song. No big production, just shadowy footage of old church signs, rattlesnakes coiled in sand, and sunbeams cutting through dust in forgotten sanctuaries. The imagery didn't need explanation. It simply echoed what the song already said. At a recent show in Nashville, she played the song toward the end of the set. When she introduced it, The crowd roared before she strummed a single chord, and as she sang, you could hear a pin drop. Even the bartenders froze. The final line hung in the air like incense. If he lays hands on you, pray it don't leave a mark. A shiver ran through the room. Then the applause came, thunderous and sustained.